This video is brought to you by America First Insight. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. As everyone probably knows, in the last couple of weeks, Congresswoman MTG of Georgia has completely lost her damn mind. And let's cut the crap, that's what happened here. She got extremely upset with President Trump back in May, back in April, because he told her, hey, you're not going to run for the Senate seat in Georgia. You can, sure, but I'm not going to support you. So there's no point in really running. And ever since then, mysteriously, out of nowhere, MTG went from one of the most pro-Trump, MAGA, America First Republicans, whatever you want to call her, to one of the biggest never-Trumpers in the entire House. And now she is running around to CNN, NBC, and now the New York Times, doing nothing but bashing the Orange Man. And now the outlets that called her a nutcase for years, they all love her. And now she gave a very long interview with the New York Times. And we're gonna go over part of it because this whole thing with MTG, it's just crazy to think that just a couple years ago, she was one of the most conservative people in the House. But because Trump said no to one thing, one single thing, that's when she completely lost it. And now she's bashing Trump at every turn. Oh, Trump is a bad president. He's awful. Worst president ever. At this point, we're going to give it a couple of years, if not a couple of months, before she is a full-time contributor on The View. I'm not even joking. We're at that point now where she's probably going to be on all these leftist shows from here on out because she is the true conservative that stood up to Trump. So let's get into it because I want to really delve into how just batshit crazy this whole thing has gotten. 11 days after Charlie Kirk was killed in September, MTG, the third-term Georgia Congresswoman, was watching his memorial service on TV, which is strange because you're one of the most prominent people in the House, by far, especially on the right. Everybody knows who MTG is. And you're supposedly a big fan of Charlie Kirk. You love him. And you can't even go to this in person. You gotta watch it on TV. It's just strange because, like, all these people, they all love Charlie Kirk. They want to make him a martyr. But, like MTG, she had the opportunity to go. And she didn't. It's just strange, but whatever. That's how the article starts. What stayed with Greene long afterward were the last two speakers who took the stage. First, there was Kirk's widow, Erica, who stood in white before the crowd filling the Arizona stadium, lifted her tear-filled eyes, and said that she forgave her husband's killer. And then there was President Trump. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose, he said of Kirk. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagree with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. Yeah, so that's how this allegedly all started, according to MTG. She claimed that was the absolutely worst statement Greene wrote to me in a text message months after the memorial service. It's just, really? So, President Trump, who you call a liar, a scumbag, all this other stuff, he admits to the world that Kirk was a far better person than he is. He says, hey, he did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. But hey, me, I disagree with that. I hate my opponents. I don't want the best for them. He tried to compare and contrast the difference between him and Kirk. How Kirk was a far better guy than he was. That's what Trump was saying. But according to Greene, oh, that was a terrible statement. Really? Wow. And the contrast between Erica Kirk and the president was clarifying, she added. It just shows where his heart is. And that's a difference, with her having a sincere Christian faith and proves that he does not have any faith. Yeah. So MTG is upset that President Trump told the truth. That, hey, I don't like my opponents, but Kirk did. He wanted the best for them. That's why he was better than me. But according to MTG, oh, he's a horrific person for telling the truth. And that he has no faith. Really? And I find it ironic. She waited till like 2 or 3 months after the fact to tell somebody this. That's what they admit here, that she wrote this text message months after the fact when it became politically convenient. Oh, Trump was a shitty person. And I knew all along. Seriously? Our side has been trained by Donald Trump to never apologize and never admit when you're wrong. She told me in her Capitol Hill office one afternoon in early December, you just keep pummeling your enemies no matter what. And as a Christian, I don't believe in doing that. I agree with Erica Kirk, who did the hardest thing possible and said out loud, oh, don't you dare. This is already just very scummy. First, you say Trump is not actually a real faithful person. He's a scumbag. He's a liar. Even though he told the truth. He just said, hey, I'm not a good person compared to Kirk. That's what he admitted to. On live TV, he said, hey, he's a good person for, wishing the best for his enemies. That's not me at all. He's not pretending to be like Charlie Kirk. Meanwhile, this scumbag in Greene, she's dragging Erica Kirk along and saying, oh, I'm like Erica Kirk. Really? Does nobody have a problem with this? Greene's reaction put her in distinct minority among influential conservative figures. Almost immediately after Kirk was declared dead, many of her comrades on the right, the billionaire Elon Musk, the Fox News host Jesse Waters, and Steve Bannon, labeled the killing an act of war by the left, which, yeah, kind of was his act of terror, but whatever. But Greene, who for years took a backseat to no one when it came to reactionary rhetoric, going so far before she was in office as to accuse Democrats, including Speaker Pelosi, of treasonous conduct and adding that treason was punishable by death or imprisonment, realized that she had suddenly lost all appetite for vengeance. She later told a friend who confirmed the exchange, after Kirk died, I realized that I'm part of this toxic culture. I really started looking at my faith. I want to be more like Christ. And I agree with the first part. Yeah, you're part of the problem because shit like this. You're demonizing your own side to appease who exactly? Oh, I am part of the problem. Yeah, you are. Because shit like this. You can't say for years that, Nancy Pelosi committed treason and, hey, that's punishable by death or imprisonment. You don't just say that for years and one day say, actually, no, after my allegedly good friend Charlie Kirk, after he got shot, no, we don't want this. We don't want to go after these people. Nope, we're best friends with him now. Seriously? That was when the stress fracture that had been steadily widening between Greene and her political godfather became an irrevocable break. She had increasingly taken stands apart from the president and the Republican Party, declaring the war in Gaza a genocide, objected to cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence policies that, from her perspective, prioritized billionaire donors over working class Americans, criticized the Trump admin for approving foreign student visas, for enacting tariffs that hurt businesses in her district, and for allowing Obamacare subsidies to expire. In other words, anything Trump says, do the opposite. It doesn't matter what it is. He says he supports this, oppose it. He opposes this, support that. That's all she's doing. And a good example, and they don't mention this, is on immigration. I'm not even joking. The whole immigration thing, in my opinion, really exposes how full of shit she is. She, in 2024, when Ramaswamy and Musk went crazy and said H-1Bs are needed and, America sucks because we don't have enough H-1Bs. Remember that last Christmas? Point is, it was a disaster for both of them. It forced Ramaswamy out of Doge. Either way, MTG was running around and defending H-1Bs for the entire time. She was defending them. She said they're needed. But the millisecond Trump made a stupid remark on H-1Bs, out of nowhere, she proposed a bill ending H-1B visas. And basically, all she did was copy and paste what Chip Roy made, his proposal. I'm not even joking. That's what she did. And on top of that, she's allegedly anti-H-1B visa, but at the same time, she's against mass deportations. Huh. Weird. Is that strange? So you're supporting getting rid of H-1B visas, which good, but at the same time, you're against mass deportations? I wonder why. This whole thing proves she's full of it. It's just whatever Trump says, do the opposite. Trump supports mass deportations, oppose that. But he supports H-1Bs or whatever, Gotta take a stand on that issue. But either way, let's skip ahead a little bit to this part right here, because of course the main theory for why Trump went after MTG, it's not immigration, it's not the Senate stuff, but in reality, it's over Epstein. Now let's cut the crap right away. Could this be one of the reasons? Maybe. Maybe this was the final nail in the coffin for MTG for the stunt that she pulled. And let's cut the crap. This was a stunt. This was a political stunt by MTG. We all know now that Thomas Massie lied. He lied about the names. He lied about this magical list. He said he had it. Now he's saying, no, it doesn't actually exist. But I know it's real because reasons. But now we can confirm that MTG also was full of shit. She lied to everybody. She made a big scene out of this. And we can now confirm, based on this article, that she lied to everybody. Now, again, I think part of the reason Trump went after MTG, it was because the Epstein files. I'm not denying that. But I think it's more so because the way that she was acting, the way that she's running around to these bullshit press conferences with the Democrat operatives, it's just a bad look on her part. And on top of that, even before the Epstein stuff, the real reason is she was becoming a massive headache for Mike Johnson. Same with Thomas Massie. These two dumbasses were becoming such headaches for Mike Johnson, they couldn't pass anything. And if they did, it was by one vote because they had to do so much crap to barely pass it because MTG and Massie, they strike everything down. If they don't like one tiny section of the bill, they're going to hold everything up. And they have the power to do so because of a very small majority. That's when it really started. Really, you could argue it started when Trump said, no, you're not running for Senate, or at least I'm not going to support you. Because ever since then, at that point, when Trump said that, that's when she went off the rails. But now they're using the excuse of, well, Trump was trying to cover up Epstein, so therefore, that's a real reason he went after MTG. Here's a small problem with that. If this was about Epstein, why hasn't Trump attacked Nancy Mace or Lauren Boebert yet? Seriously, why? Those two are just as active. You know the differences between between Massie, MTG, and Mace and Boebert? Mace and Boebert weren't going batshit crazy over this. They were making a big push for it, yes, but they weren't running around these bullshit press conferences and saying, we have a secret list, everybody. We're going to read it any second now, and all that crap. They weren't making a fool of the whole process. They weren't lying to everybody about it. They were just saying, hey, we're working to release the files. We're talking with President Trump, trying to make a deal. They were actually trying to work with Trump's admin on this. MTG and Massie, they weren't. They were going off the rails, working with Democrat operatives, trying to screw Trump over. And that's what this was. And we know Thomas Massie lied about the whole list thing. He was saying the list was real, which again, there still could be a list, sure. But now he's saying, no, I never got a list. I just know it exists because I said so. Yeah. So Jeffrey Epstein, the whole case, everybody knows about it. Well, there's one part that really should prove to everybody that MTG, just like Massie, were full of shit. After the hearing, Greene held a news conference at which he threatened to identify some of the men who had abused the women. And this is the part that, again, proves that she is full of crap. This was a political stunt. She lied. Greene says that she didn't know those names herself, but that she could have gotten them from the victims. Yeah. So during this bullshit hearing, this bullshit news conference, she was, just like Thomas Massie, running around. This is the New York Times admitting this. She claimed she had a mysterious list of people involved. They abused the women. But actually, no, I don't actually know the names of these people. So the victims could have theoretically said Barney Fife, and these idiots would have said Barney Fife was involved. Does nobody see the problem with this? There was never a secret list they got. It was bullshit. It was a political stunt, a publicity stunt, so people could talk about, oh, this mysterious list that MTG and Massie got. Totally not suspicious at all. Now, Greene would later say that, oh, Trump called her and that he was mad at her and he was screaming. And according to Greene, Trump replied, my friends will get hurt. Now, could that be a reason why Trump doesn't want to release it? Because he has some friends that, even though they weren't involved with what Epstein was doing, just them being mentioned in the files or whatever, could that maybe hurt their reputations? Maybe. Not because they did anything, we don't know, but maybe that's part of the reason why Trump doesn't want to release it. But here's a problem with this, okay? You're telling me that everybody in the suite of rooms, like dozens of people, staff members, whoever, they were able to hear this phone call. That, you know, it was so loud, you could hear it from like 5 rooms away, yet only MTG was able to confirm this. And she waited, what, 2 months to do this? To report this, that, oh yeah, Trump said this, and not one leak occurred. I call bullshit. Could this be real? Maybe, sure. But the context of it where, oh, Trump is sounding like that mustache twirling villain the Democrats claim he is. And that's exactly what Trump said. My friends will get hurt. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This whole thing is just crazy. I agree. Trump should release all the Epstein files. I agree with that. Release everything. Unredact most of the stuff that's necessary. But seriously, you lied. You admit to lying. You admitted that you didn't know any of the victim names or the suspects' names or whatever. But, oh, I have a secret list here. Was this going to turn into a witch hunt where they would have this secret list of names that the victims totally gave that were involved? Was that their plan here? Because that's what this sounds like. Thomas Massie and MTG, they were planning a witch hunt. And now they admit it to the world, yeah, we casually made this stuff up on the House floor in the hearings, these news conferences. We lied. But all the victims, they totally have a list of names. And they said they're going to release it. And we actually know what they are, but we don't. But we can still ask them, though. Don't worry. What a pile of shit. For everybody worried about the Epstein case, this should make you mad. Because they gave you false promises. They claimed they had absolute proof of the secret list the FBI had. They claimed the victims gave them a list of actual names. They gave detailed stuff on that. But now they're admitting, months later, now that the Epstein stuff is slowly going away, oh, actually, never mind. There was never a list. We could have got the names, though, anytime. They lied. They just, so what were they going to say? Were they just going to say some random name that they like? That's probably what they were going to do. They were going to claim that, oh, this person was the Epstein files because the secret list said so. And now they're just admitting they lied to the whole world. How can you trust anything she says after this? This whole story is just crazy. Just read it for yourself. I'm not going to read everything. I read the parts that everyone's talking about. My gosh, they're full of shit. They lied. They didn't just lie. They just fabricated everything. And now people really believe that there is a secret list of names, no matter what. Again, could there be? Sure. But they claimed there was a guarantee that they had a list because the victims gave them a list. And they were able to confirm it. That's what they said. They said they were able to confirm the list. They have proof of it. And now it's just, oh, we don't actually have a list. We don't actually know. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.